Well, thank you for hanging with us today. My
pleasure.
We go way back. I mean, you've got such a big life in the world of skiing, orthopedic surgery, tournament fishing. I mean, you're waist deep in your commitment to the poon. No doubt you're building a new home in Marathon. I mean, we're going to get into all this, throughout this next period of time. I think initially I'd like to open it with you fish with arguably the best DNA guides there are, the Huffs. Chad and Dustin, Andrew, a commercial fisherman, Steve. You've won a bunch of tournaments with Dustin. What's it like to fish with somebody who is that possessed to do well, to win? And I know you have that same DNA. What's it like getting on his boat in those early years?
Well, I mean, it's that's a tricky answer because I started fishing here with Craig Brewer, who taught me a lot.
And you won the Gold Cup with him.
I did.
And there's a great history with him and his dad both winning the Gold Cup. First
True.
Father and son team to win the Gold Cup.
True, but I fished for years with Craig, and then I met Dustin on the golf course. And I could tell this guy is a killer. I mean,
By how he played golf or gambled?
Both. Both. So it's a funny story. I was fishing with Craig, and we ran into Harry Spear at the Lorelei. And it's like, today's going to suck. Let's just go play golf. So we went to Stouts to eat breakfast and then go play golf at Sombrero Country Club. And we ran into Dustin there, and he had bailed on his day too because it was awful. And Harry, who had known Dustin forever, said, "Hey, why don't you come play golf with us?" And I could tell he was like, I'm not sure. And but he said yes. And when we got there, I said, "Well, you want a game?" And immediately I could see his ears perked up a little bit. And he's like, "Yeah, sure, I want a game." And so we gambled a little bit on the golf course, and that was fun because we both love the competition.
What kind of stakes do you throw at each other?
I don't really remember then what we played for, but
now,
what did you play today? What kind of stakes?
I didn't play with Dustin today.
No, I know, but
yeah, I played with our buddy D-Rod, and we started at $10, and it escalated because we played 36 holes. But you guys know what an auto one down press is,
yeah.
and not many fishy people know what that means. But
it's $80 a hole.
If you go to 10 to
right?
20 to 40 to 80, then you're playing for some serious stakes, and Dustin loves that, and I love that, and our buddy D-Rod loves that, and so we ended up playing a fair amount of golf, and then we started fishing together, and I just fished a handful of days with him, and we could tell we were like cut from the same cloth, I think, where no matter what, we want to win. And honestly, I still remember that when I asked Dustin, I said, would you consider fishing these tournaments? And he said, there's no way I'll do it unless I have Craig's blessing. And I actually remember the conversation when I called Craig, and I said, "Listen, I know I'm fishing with Dustin some, and there's no way I want to step on your toes. And how would you feel if I fished the tournaments with Dustin?" And he said, "Man, if I could get on the front of Dustin's boat, because he doesn't fish tournaments, you got to take it. You got to do it." And I did.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll always love Craig for that.
For sure.
Because, he just told me the truth. And, he said, if you can do it, you should go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I fished a lot of years with Craig. I I don't really know how to say it, but Dustin will choke you out to win. And I love that about him.
Right. But here's the about that aspect of you'll do everything to win. There's a lot of people that have an enormous amount of passion to win, but there's only those that can follow through and fulfill, that passion, with skill on the water. How did that play out? What did you see with Dustin that you didn't see with anybody else once you got on the water, once you started fishing?
I think it's just the desire to win and to push and take chances. I mean, it's a challenge to answer that question because I loved fishing with Craig. I fished many, many years with Craig, but
are you asking, what does that mean in, a physical form?
Yeah, once you're, and I think, too, we can jump forward a little bit. As a fisherman that I fished with him, I won the Del Brown with him, and on a golf course, I convinced him to fish the Del Brown with me. So it was all about the golf to finally get him to pull the same deal. Yeah. But let's just jump forward a number of years, and what you're doing with the Go Fast boat with the Chittum boats. I think that is a testament to what he's willing to do to win tournaments, pushing the envelope.
And Thane, too.
Yeah, for sure, and you, too. So that's the perfect team.
Well, I think to win the Tarpon tournaments, you have to be willing to push your weight around a little bit and not take any shit off of anybody. And, I can go all the way back to when you and Paul Tahara won the Don Hawley. Craig discovered a great freaking spot, and I wasn't that good yet, and I kept breaking these fish off in the Hawley. And you and Paulie came in there, I want to say on Wednesday maybe, and it had been ridiculously good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the word got out, and it got covered up, and Craig just doesn't want to push it.
Mm-hmm.
And the last day in that spot, there were 6 fucking boats out there. Pardon me, but it really galled me that he had discovered that, and nobody was there our first day there. And I just messed it up because I didn't know what I was doing, and I broke off fish after fish after fish. And that was the year we tried Rio Leader. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a disaster.
It was terrible.
I'm not sure I should badmouth Rio, but it just was different.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't know because I didn't know what I was doing. What year was that? The year you and Paulie won?
I'm terrible with the years.
I won't put you to the test. But at any rate, do you remember how many people were out there on Thursday?
Yeah.
6 boats.
Yeah.
And Craig's too much of a gentleman to push it. But Dustin, he'll push it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you step on his toes, then he'll step back hard. And that's I'm not criticizing Craig for that. This is
I understand
touchy. I don't really want to say that because I don't want to hurt Craig's.
No, I got it.
It makes sense.
Look, Craig is an awesome fisherman. And he's a great tournament fisherman.
He taught me most of what I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got a quick question. Did your angling ability improve with Dustin? Because you said you didn't know much and you were breaking fish off with Craig during that one spot. I mean, were you the same skill level with Craig and Dustin, or did it evolve over time?
No, it got better over time. I mean, that was well before Craig and I won the Gold Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely better when I won the Gold Cup with Craig, and I sucked that year. I mean, we were fishing right next to you guys. Some of my best memories are fishing next to you and Paulie.
I know.
Because no matter what, it always brought the best out of both of us.
Yeah, I think that day we both caught 7 fish, and somebody won on time.
I don't know.
They would hook up, and we're cheering.
Yeah.
We'd hook up, and you cheer back. I mean, it was the best.
Yeah, no, we did it that day, and then we did it another day on the ocean side where we're both
That's
hooking
right.
a lot of fish, and we're both yelling and having fun. And
Over the location that starts with a T.
yeah.
Wait, so you said you sucked during the Gold Cup the year you won?
No, I didn't suck that year.
Oh, I thought you. Sorry.
Yeah, the year your dad won the Hawley, I sucked.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I broke so many fish off. But the tippet was questionable that year.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I was trying to raise the leader up to Craig to grab it.
Right, to get the release.
And he reached for it, and it broke at the same time. And I said, "Did you get it?" And he goes, "No, I didn't get it." I go, and
That's an honest guy right there.
it's totally honorable.
Yeah.
He's not. I don't know that anybody else is more honorable down here. He's by the book because he's got those gorilla arms, and he reached out there for it. And I said, "Did you touch it?" And he's like, "Nope, I didn't get it." And I'm like, and I broke him off. But that was a special day. I mean, it was unbelievable, Nikki. The fish were coming from a spot, and I don't even want to say it, but they'll probably never do it again. But they were stringing along in the back like they do on the ocean, and every school they would bite it. I think I had 18 bite it that day before your dad and Paulie came out, and I think we got 3.
Sorry, Thane.
And they were all big.
Somebody had to do it at some point.
I mean, we would pull up, and I would have one on before Craig could tie another leader. It was ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah.
It was so cool.
It was
and
so good.
And it creates indelible images in my memory that is the coolest. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Craig would be tying the leader, and he'd like, "Holy shit, you got one on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we got one on." And it was cool.
Crazy.
And for 2 days, just your dad and I, and Paul and Craig, we kind of had it to ourselves. And then every scoreboard guide figured it out, and here they come.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the last day we couldn't even get in. There were 6 freaking boats there, which is part of why I bought a fast boat.
Yeah.
So nobody can beat us to a spot that we found.
Mm-hmm. We'll get to the fast boat here in a little bit because I want to hear about the learning curve of the boat and the design of the boat because you and Dustin basically helped develop that 21-foot boat for Chittum,
the Widowmaker,
pad and the Widowmaker as we call it. Let's just back up a little bit here, because there's so much to dive into with the fishing. We jumped into the tournament scene right now, and we'll back that up here a little bit later. But your background is as a doctor, orthopedic surgeon. How many knee replacements do you do a year? Like a pile?
A pretty good pile.
So
yes.
you specialize in knee replacements?
Probably. That's the most common surgery I do.
Yeah.
But
you traveled with the U.S. ski team for a number of years.
I did. When I first, before I even moved to Amarillo, when I was still training in San Antonio, my future partner, a guy named Bill Barnhill, he trained with Dr. Stedman, Dick Stedman in Lake Tahoe before he even went to Vail and formed the Stedman Clinic. And he called me up when I was still training, and he said, "Hey, can you get some time off in August?" And I'm like, "For what?" And he goes, "Well, the ski team needs somebody to go down to Portillo, Chile and cover their training camp." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Mm-hmm. And so I was doing my fellowship, and my 2 attendings said, "Absolutely, you can go." Mm-hmm. That was in '99, and I traveled with the ski team up until COVID hit, and then it got complicated.
Right.
So I haven't traveled with the ski team since then, but I've been to some very cool places, which you've been to all of them.
Yeah, no doubt.
In my time.
But that whole program was the doctor's program set up by Dr. O'Dane and Dr. Stedman, because when we were getting hurt in Europe, we didn't have an American doctor.
Right.
So they started a program where American doctors would travel with the U.S. ski team. So if you got hurt, you had an American doctor overseeing everything that was going to take place.
Right.
And then once that began, you were one of those doctors that were traveling with the U.S. ski team, going to the big events like the Hahnenkamm and all the big World Cup events.
Right.
Traveling with Bodie Miller. Tell me about Bodie Miller briefly. This guy was arguably definitely one of the greatest ski racers of all time. He had great courage. He had the ability to take different lines. Tell me a little bit about Bodie that you got to know.
I didn't know Bodie that well. We were more like acquaintances because he was already a superstar by the time I met him. And it was still very neat to see a guy like him in the level of stardom that he had developed and ascended to. But I respected him a lot. He was a badass. I was at Lake Louise when he won the Super G in the downhill, the year he won the overall. And it's funny because there's another skier named Darren Ralphs, who, of course, you know.
Sure. And
you probably do, too. And Bodie won, and Darren did well enough. I think he had to go to doping control. And so we were going from Lake Louise to Calgary. And they said, can you try to get Darren to Calgary so he doesn't miss his flight? Because they were going to Vail from there. So we're going like 120 miles an hour, as fast as the rental car would go. It was like a Suburban. And so I dropped Darren off. He makes his flight, but then we go out with Bodie that night in Calgary, and he's a great guy. He took us all out, and we had a great time, and he's something else.
Yeah.
He just did it different than quite a few of his competitors could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was heartbroken the year that he was at Hahnenkamm, and he had one very minute mistake
on the flat. Killed him.
That's right. And they did that alternate line, and I think that was his biggest desire, was to win Hahnenkamm, and Reichelt beat him that year.
Yeah.
And he got second, and that was a bummer to watch that.
One of the things I'm kind of interested in is people gravitate to the Stedman Clinic in Vail.
Yes.
Is orthopedic surgery kind of standard unless there's some injury where ligaments and tendons are broken, and the gray area is about how do you fix stuff as a doctor? Is that where the magic take place?
Honestly, I don't think it's really standard at all. Nowadays everybody.
Knee replacements, is that kind of standard, or is that difficult?
Nowadays everybody's trying to say that robots do it better than the craftsman, and I disagree. I don't use robotic surgery. I don't think it's the right way to go. We have a mutual friend who's one of the better shoulder surgeons around, Peter Millett, and he said, "What do you think about knee replacement robot surgery?" And I go, I don't know. And he goes, "Yeah, I've heard it kind of makes a bad surgeon average and an excellent surgeon average. It just kind of brings everybody to the mean."
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't really improvise and
no, not at all. And but it's just like fly fishing. If you haven't done it thousands of times, you don't know that a bad outcome may come from
a simple mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no way that my 1,000th knee replacement was as good as my 10,000th knee replacement. That's why they call it the practice of medicine. We keep getting better, and it's in that respect, it's just like this fly fishing deal.
Mm-hmm.
You've done 10,000 knee replacements?
I think I've done more than that.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Should I call Thane?
That makes me old, Nicky.
Jeez.
I need an upcoming knee replacement. What does fly fishing and knee replacement and surgery have in common, if anything?
I think the really good fly fisherman is always overthinking everything, trying to figure out every angle to make it better, from line management to fly presentation to the cast, everything. And I'm a horrible overthinker. Sometimes I wish I could dumb it down a little bit, but I'm not sure that's all bad.
Where has overthinking hurt you?
I don't think it hurts me fly fishing too much because overanalyzing makes you better.
Sure.
Just in your head in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it gives you the potential for self-doubt.
Right.
If you overthink too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if it's like as a skier, you're like, I'm going to stand on it right here and I'm going to nail this turn and I'm going to be set up for the next one and boom, I'm going to win.
Mm-hmm.
If you overthink that too much, then
you know what?
It's a shit show.
I've always felt in skiing and in fly fishing, if you're thinking consciously, you're already too late. It's got to be all instinctive.
Yeah.
In ski racing, you see the gate, you see the apex, and you feel the apex, and you tip that ski, and you just go. And there's no thought other than going just as fucking fast as you can go.
Right.
And in fly fishing too, and I'm sure you'll both agree, you see the shot and you just make it. And I think that's the biggest hurdle that the average person has to make to become a great fisherman. They don't have enough time on the water.
Right.
So everything is a conscious move.
That's right. And that's why people that get to fish a ton have the best chance to win these tournaments. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I can't remember who I watched who said, "Don't think, just do." You're good enough. You just have to do it. I want to say it's a Formula One racer, but I'm not sure. But there's no time to think.
Mm-hmm.
If you really think about it, you're going to mess it up.
It's very interesting. We were just watching the Golf Channel, and Brandel Chambly was talking about when he was watching Tiger in the early 2000s, and he was hitting a 7-iron, 80 yards, 100 yards, 130 yards, all draws and cuts. And Brandel said, "How do you do that?" And Tiger said, "I don't know. I just do it."
Yeah, it's just like Scheffler.
It's feel.
Scheffler was asking Tiger, "How come you never take divots?" And he goes,
Right.
"When I'm smoothing it, I just pure it. I never take divots."
Right. And Scheffler was just mind-boggled.
And I've heard other people say that about Tiger. When he's really puring it, he just
Darren Clark said that on the
doesn't take
podcast.
On our
divots.
podcast,
He said
yeah.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah. And you guys are both golfers, so I know you know. But if you overthink golf, you're just getting in your own way.
Do you think you could just fish this length of time? You've been into the Gold Cup scene for going on 20 years. You've won it 3 times, the biggest fly fishing tarpon tournament in the world. You've been second like maybe 5 or 6 times. So you are, as they call it, you're way in, right? Do you think you could have lasted this long as a recreational fisherman, or do you think it really takes something of that magnitude of interest to keep your interest?
I think that depends. Some people just love it because, I mean, it stands upright on itself. Catching tarpon is so cool. You don't really need to add competition to justify your desire to do it. It's just it's pretty cool.
Right.
But you guys are both golfers, and so you love competing, and I love competing.
And gambling.
It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
But not only do you compete, you gamble big time with Cedars and Duncan and all those guys.
Sometimes. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I told Dustin year before last, I said, I think I'm too old for this. I can't see good enough anymore. My cast sucks nowadays. I can't wing it out there. My backhand's terrible. I'm getting old. I think it's about time we wrap it up. And he said, no, we can't wrap it up yet. We're still competitive. And then we got second last year in the Gold Cup. So I guess we can't quit. But I'm feeling it. It's a lot harder now. I mean, I used to be able to see the fly 100 feet away. I can't even remotely see it. The fly now, and sometimes I can't even see the tarpon now.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
I'm aware.
No, dude. No, you know what?
Thane,
that's a great story.
Thane, point your rod. Thane, point your rod to the right.
No, seriously.
To the right.
He will see a fish.
I thought it was Stevie
on
Wonder
the
on the
bottom
boat.
in 10 feet of water from 100 yards away. I got one, and I'm going. Are you kidding me?
You just can't. So what's so funny is we're fishing in the same place. He's fishing with Rob and the Hawley, and Dustin and I are fishing. It's kind of rainy. I'm going to give myself a little bit of an out. And I look over, and Nikki and Rob are coming up. And that's when we had first gotten the bucket for the anchor.
Right.
We got a Home Depot orange bucket on the back to put the anchor in. And that was years ago. I look over there, and I go, did Rob get a black bucket?
It was Nikki. It was Nikki in a rain suit.
I said, that motherfucker copied us. He's got a bucket for his anchor now. And it was Nikki in his rain suit.
You should have written Nikki on the bucket.
Well, that's why his Spoonville name is Bucket now.
Oh,
but
I didn't know
you didn't know
It's
that?
Black Bucket.
Black Bucket.
That's what you call you?
Yeah, fucking Thane calls me that.
I've been
Black
calling him
Bucket.
Black Bucket forever. And after that is when he made fun of me.
Yeah, because
Because
every time I'd
I'm
look
like
back,
this.
every time I'd look back, I'd see this like horizontal line, and I was like, "What is that?" And it was just Thane, just like
Looking for
Harry
a fish.
Potter with a wizard ward, like just pointing his rod.
Point your rod. Point your rod.
And then
I don't have him. Point your rod.
I'd hear-
Little right.
and hear Dustin go right, no, left, and fucking it was like
That's what I do
Leading
every
the
day.
blind to the
Every
target.
day I do that with him now.
You were at the banquet when Nikki was making fun of me because I couldn't see anything. Hey, bro, Dustin's like 4 feet taller than I am, and he can see farther than I can.
Here's the problem I have with Nicky. He's on the bow of the boat, and he'll say, Dad, I got 2 fish coming at 10 o'clock. Let me know when you see him.
Check your watch, buddy.
I see
don't
these
do
fish
that.
at 200 yards away. It's like, how do you see over the curvature of the, that's flat? It's
I don't
insane.
do that. But also, too,
Yes,
when we
you
were
do.
fishing next to Thane and Dustin, what these fucking jackasses would do, every time they hook a fish, Dustin would start the motor before the prop got in the water, so you'd hear,
It's like
We didn't start that.
every time
started
I
that?
hear that, it fucking drives me nuts.
Robin's Carlos.
it's like
Rob would always fire it up. Whoa! We'd hear fucking. He would hammer it before it even got in the water. So
So you,
Oh, man, that's such a bad noise. in
we didn't
tournament.
originate that. You didn't like that, did
Oh,
you?
fuck no. It fucking,
no one likes it.
fuck my fishing up.
I got a question for you. So if you're gambling for a lot of money and you're in a tournament, let's just say it might be worth, $15,000, $20,000 in the end, in the overall, at the back end of it, if not more. Does that make you fish better or worse?
Better.
How about golf? Could you go play for $30,000 and putt well?
Yeah. I bear down. I love it.
And
So
and
the
in
only one that gambles for that stakes, it used to be Rand, but now it's Evan Carruthers, and I met my match. I can't do it because he's way more top heavy than me, and he buried me.
Hold on 1 second. I don't know what's happening.
Are you good?
I think we're good. I think we just had a technical difficulty there. All right, I think we're good. So Evan Carruthers.
So
I met my match with Evan.
and tell me about what's that mean? What's that
He
mean?
exceeded my comfort zone, big time.
So what happened to you on the water?
So
Hold on. Let's get back to the price.
Get back
price,
to
The price that was
that's what I'm
made
saying.
Thane uncomfortable.
What was the price that got you uncomfortable in these fishing tournaments?
So we started $1 a point in the Gold Cup. And Evan pressed me every day, so the last day we're at $5 a point. So a 100-pound fish is worth $5,000. And I broke one off the last day one year. I don't even remember which year. And that gave me a stomachache all day long. It literally did. That was beyond my comfort zone.
So what happened after that? You just not fish well?
No, I fished okay, but you know how it is. Early in the morning, if you get a good fish, you do not want to lose that fish.
But here's what happened to me one time. It was in the Hawley. And we had a pretty big lead. It was the first fish Thursday morning. And now I'm kind of cocky because I'd caught a bunch
you and
of
Hoover.
fish. No, I was with Tahara. I never fished the Hawley with Hoover.
Oh, you
I was
didn't?
with Tahara.
There's always hair. Okay.
Yeah. And I get this fish on and get tight, and I'm just like, I'm cocky, and I'm holding that fish. And he shakes his head, and I pop him off. After that, I never set the hook well enough, and I lost 7 fish and lost by 1. But I can't imagine if you're gambling with, $15,000, $20,000 on the line. I don't know if I would fish better.
Oh, that'd fuck me up.
It's very rare that I ever did that. Very rare. I met my match with Evan, and he makes me nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Rand and I used to gamble pretty good, but not like that. Yeah, I mean, those were big days and huge losses.
I know. I just know.
I mean, Rand and I used to gamble pretty good, but it was always fun. But Evans outpressed me.
He didn't make it fun. Yeah.
Nah, it was still fun, but I still had a stomachache all day long.
So let's go.
I felt like Scott Hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can relate to that.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your world record pursuits. And you guys, you and Dustin got this houseboat, and you'd go over into the Everglades in the backcountry and fish.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about the houseboat and what were you seeing back there in the early years, because I think you sold it here recently, but you'd go back there, I think, in February and March when the early biomass would come into town.
Yeah, and what were you and Dustin doing on that houseboat together?
Yeah, Wardo. Yeah. Stays in Vegas.
That was the name of the boat. Named the boat Vegas.
That's what Wardo called it.
A little skeptical there.
I'll be honest, that thing was awesome. I mean, we would go all the way up to, oh God, what is the river we went to?
Shark?
No, above Shark. Wait,
Harney and Lossman.
Yeah, we'd go up to Broad River and park it in there, and we would fish. But it was nothing spectacular, but it was pretty cool.
Because you're alone, you stay there, never having to come back.
Yeah, because if you're anywhere near A1A, you're going to see people all day long, except for the COVID years. And it's kind of a bummer, really. So when we would take the houseboat all the way up to Broad River Bay, you wouldn't see anybody. And it was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say the fishing was particularly spectacular, but it was fun. Not seeing anybody from 4 o'clock until dark, and not seeing anybody from dawn to 8 or 9 o'clock.
Right. It's like hiking into the wilderness.
Yeah, I mean, you catch a couple triple tail, cook triple tail for dinner, watch a couple Breaking Bads on the VCR and whatever, and it was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it was beautiful back there. And we sold the houseboat, and I'm kind of bummed about that because we've had some adventures in that thing, but it's just nice to get away from all the freaking people.
Mm-hmm.
But did you purchase that boat primarily for the record fishing?
No, we
fun.
We got it so we could go camp out in the Everglades. So the majority of the time we'd camp in Lake Ingram, which is not that far up. But then sometimes we'd go to the Harney and we'd take it all the way to Broad sometimes. And it was awesome.
Right.
It was awesome to be the only ones out there.
And you'd primarily do that in the wintertime.
Yeah. Fall, winter.
Yeah.
And sometimes we weren't even tarpon fishing. I mean, sometimes we're red fishing, triple tailing, whatever.
Just messing around.
Yeah.
It's nice to have silence.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. and we had we would put the antenna on a push pole and put it all the way at the top of the houseboat, and we could get signal all the way at Broad River. Yeah, by cranking that thing up 30 feet in the air. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my most miserable nights was on that freaking thing, though, because, Dustin's always in a hurry. So he speared that houseboat a few times.
Into a wave in rough water.
And it rotted all the felt out of the sliding glass door. So we get to Lake Ingram one night, and it's hot as hell. And the air conditioner can't even keep up. It's hot in the houseboat. And I wake up, and I'm like, what is going on? And I realize I'm covered with mosquitoes. The mosquitoes had figured out a way to get through the sliding glass door because all the felt had rotted off. Oh. So we had to sleep under covers on our heads, and the AC couldn't quite keep up, so it was like too damned hot in there. But if we didn't put the covers over our heads, the mosquitoes would annihilate us. It's like all these guys who are camping at these cheeky huts or whatever. It's the most miserable night of my life.
Oh, God.
It's like naked and afraid.
Did you head home the next day?
No, we did not. Because the fishing was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice, but we were slapping mosquitoes off the walls, and the walls were covered with blood, our blood, from the mosquitoes.
Oh, God. So good.
Yeah, I looked over, and Huff has got his buff on to the top of his head. And I'm like,
while
maybe
sleeping?
I'll try that.
While sleeping.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
He had it all over his head.
Fuck, that sounds miserable.
Then we replaced the air conditioner after that, so it was a little better, but
it was the felt that needed to be replaced.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
It felt like 80 degrees in that thing. We were dying.
You have arguably, one of the greatest tarpon records of all time. A 4-pound test, 123-pound tarpon?
119.
119.
Correct.
On 4-pound test.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that pursuit and what kind of big battles you had through the night to finally catch that fish.
Well, that fish we actually caught pretty quick because Dustin's brother, Andrew Hunt, was with us. And so he was driving the boat, and Dustin was running the gaff, and all I had to do was stay tight. And we gaffed that fish pretty quick. But
we'll get to that fish, but tell me about the previous ones.
So the one before that, we thought we were fishing 4-pound.
The label said 4-pound.
Well, but we had tested it, and the consistency and the tippet it's just it's not consistent.
Varied, yeah.
And so we had tested this spool, and we're fishing 4-pound, and we hook a fish. It's a commonplace. We hooked this fish, and to make a long story short, we fought the thing for 18 hours, just following it around all night long. And obviously, I'm not pulling on it at all. I'm just trying to stay tight.
You can't pull very hard on 4.
Right. No, not
You got to wait for a gaff shot, right? That's all you're doing.
Yeah, so when we hook this fish, the fish starts following some other fish into the Gulf, and I'm like, oh, God, this is going to be over quick. Because we'd fought other fish late in the night already and lost them. And this fish starts following some other rolling fish because once it got in when they get in the school of fish, they're just going to follow them.
And what's your drag when you hook the fish? What's your one?
The drag was just so it won't free spool.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not fighting the thing at all. It's all about the gaff shot.
Mm-hmm.
And so this fish starts kind of greyhounding with these fish going offshore, going out in the Gulf. And by some miracle, it turns around, goes all the way to the channel at Man-O-War. This is a pretty long ways.
Right.
You guys know this.
Right.
And it sits in the channel for like 2 hours. And I'm just sitting there.
What time of night is this
I'm
now?
just sitting there holding tension on the rod, just sitting on the cooler, just keeping a bend in the rock.
Like a trout fisherman, just
Correct.
up in the air.
There's no angling skill
Right.
to it at all. Just don't break it off. And then it takes off and it swims around for a little while, and then it goes back to Man-O-War Basin. And I'm like, fuck, this is killing me. And at this point, it's like 2 a.m. We hooked this fish at 5 p.m. And, I don't even want to go into how to take a leak. But at the time, I was very addicted to Copenhagen. So Dustin would have to open the can, put it on the console, and I would get in there like a dog and get some snuff in my mouth while we're just sitting in Man-O-War Channel. And it's funny because Drew Moret, who you guys just interviewed,
Sure.
he drove by us the previous morning, saw we were fishing, and he drove by us again the next morning, and we'd been out the whole time. So we're over by Clive, and I'm just
Are you a zombie by this point?
not too bad. I'm pretty good because
Sleep deprivation is really bad.
I'm still amped up because this is our first time to really catch a
Right.
record fish. Because we did an all-nighter again after
Did you
that.
have an idea how big this fish was?
Nah,
You knew it was
thought
big enough.
I thought it was 90 pounds, and
Yeah.
we were on 4-pound test. And
And the record at the time was like 44 or something?
it wasn't very big.
No.
And so, what do you?
I knew at the time.
Are you eating?
No,
You didn't eat anything.
I didn't even pee the whole
Did you
time.
drink any water?
No, I just dipped Copenhagen.
Did you have any light headlamps on or anything?
Hell, no. So, well, that goes back even like 2 years previously when we started fishing for the record. We hooked one, and we fought it way into darkness, and we didn't have lights. Dustin's trying to gaff this thing with his iPhone light. And he's trying to gaff this thing over by East Cape Canal, which is not a place you want to go in the water. And
Because of the sharks.
we ended up breaking the thing off at like 10 o'clock at night. And then we just straight shotted it back to Marathon. He doesn't even have running lights. It was back in the day when he had no GPS, no running lights, nothing. And we're both bummed out. And somehow he just drove straight back to the ramp. And I'm like, wow, this guy knows where he's going.
Wow, that's crazy.
But that was early on. But then the fish we fought for 18 hours,
Hold on, he's in Man-O-War Channel.
Yeah.
for the second time
The
or the first time?
Start packing up.
The second time he's in.
So the second time, and finally the sun's coming up. And I know Dustin's talked to you guys about this, but he tried to gaff this freaking thing all night long. But the fish is going this way, and so you never have a perpendicular gaff shot, and he's hitting it with the gaff. He hit it with the gaff. I've got the thing in my office, and it's missing a lot of scales. Actually, I got a skin mount of the thing. And my friend who did the skin mount, he goes, "This thing doesn't look that good." And I go, "I realize that, but
it is a record.
But it has a lot of sentimental value." So he still did a skin mount of it. But he gaffed this thing. I mean, if you're hitting it like this, it's hard to get the gaff in
It
it.
skids.
He came back with scales.
So you want that 90-degree angle?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he hit the thing at least a dozen times. I mean, the thing looked like it had been in a drive-by shooting. It was missing so many scales. Plus, he rolled the gaff point rolled. So he's trying to sharpen the gaff point with a hook file.
At 10 o'clock at night with his iPhone.
Yeah, or 2 in the morning, whatever.
In the morning, yeah.
You can see this, can't you, Nicky? But the whole time we're fighting this thing, he's trying to gaff it with the navigation lights because it's just doing the thing right under the bow. And I'd say, I think you got a shot, and he'd run up and try to take a shot. And then he'd get back on the throttle. And finally, this thing is exhausted. It's 18 hours later. It's like 10 in the morning the next day. And it swims right across the bow, and he sticks it and yanks it in the boat. And it breaks 3 rods, the rod holders on the whole starboard side. It still had that kind of energy.
Wow.
And I jump on it because it's flopping around, and I look down, and the gaff point is like right between my legs. But we end up finally getting it.
How much did that fish weigh?
It weighed 88 pounds,
Right.
but our line tested at 4.7, which is too much.
It over-tested.
Or at whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that became the new 6-pound world record.
That's
because
right.
at the time, record, the 6-pound record was Stu Apps at 82.5,
Right.
82.8.
Right. But that was a long night. I remember going to eat at Habanos the next day, and I could hardly eat because my finger was stuck in this position. It was all swelled up. Well, I've been doing this all night long.
Yeah.
For 18 hours.
That's crazy.
I mean, you're fighting the thing like a trout.
Mm-hmm.
And we had another one, and after that we ended up losing. But he gaffed it, and it yanked him in the water, in the dirty water. And he when it yanked him in, he looked up and he saw the port side light. He said, all I saw was red, and it freaked me out a little bit. And then the fish yanked me down again. And we fought this fish all night long, too. His brother actually came over, Andrew. These poor bastards. Dustin called him and said, we got a fish on. This is a long story. You want to hear the whole thing?
Yes, let's go.
So we're in a place, and it's very tidal, and so you have a limited window, and right when we get there at the prime time, a thunderstorm's coming. And I said, "Do you want your rain gear?" And he goes, "Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's about to hammer us." And he goes, "Hang on a second, I got a fish." And I throw out and hook this fucking thing. And almost simultaneously, this thunderstorm hits us. And this isn't a place you fish all the time. And we couldn't see either bank on either shore. Because the lightning and the rain is so freaking hard. And it's just, literally, you couldn't see 100 yards. It was raining so hard and the lightning was so bad. And we got through all of that chasing this fish. And then it goes slick calm, like post-hurricane. So he calls his brother, Andrew, and he says, "Hey, can you come help us? This is going to be a long haul." So his brother comes over and drives the boat all night long, and it was slick calm. And the mosquitoes are chewing me alive, literally. And I'm falling asleep standing up trying to fight this thing, and he gaffed it at 6 in the morning or so, and it yanked him in the water, and broke the tippet, and then came off the gaff. And he comes up out of the water and he goes, "It's gone." And I'm like, shit.
Oh my God, what disappointment!
We'd had that thing on for 14 hours. It's a stupid pursuit.
Yeah, what was driving you guys to endure this kind of pain?
I don't know.
It wasn't the record. I think it was just.
It's just to do something nobody had ever done.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, it's just like the tournaments.
It was the pursuit to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not a great athlete, so.
Well, yeah, you are.
Yeah, not really, no. But in tarpon fishing, then
you are.
I got a chance.
Yeah, you do.
I got a question for you, Thane. After these records, when the photos got out of the dead fish on the hook, I have to ask this.
Sure.
The Drake magazine and online, people were fucking destroying you guys. Did that mess with your head at all?
Nah. That was just pretty much one guy. You can argue that we should never kill these fish, but you have to kill them if you want a record. And and the guy found a picture that
So it was mostly one
of the
guy.
dead fish hanging up. Yeah, I definitely think it was one guy. He was stirring it up.
And it didn't bother you. It didn't mess with your head at all.
You know, I'd love to run across that guy. He kind of ticked me off, but no, it didn't make me feel bad. Is that what you're wondering?
Yeah.
Hell no. No, I mean, everybody who's caught a record has had to kill that fish for the record. And we knew we were going to kill the fish for the record.
The reason why you have to kill the fish because it has to be weighed on dry ground.
Right.
That's why.
Right. And so this guy gets the photograph that we have to take to send to the IGFA, because that's part of the deal. You got to take a photograph of the fish on the scale. And somehow that got out, and this guy ran with it, and you know, he
I just
didn't
didn't know.
like
I
it.
just didn't know if it bothered you, and you reconsidered maybe record fishing in the future. If it,
hell no,
Some-
it didn't.
some
we
people-
we caught another record after that.
no, I know
so
that.
it didn't bother me
Yeah.
at all.
But some people are sensitive to that
I
kind
understand,
of
and,
criticism.
You
but-
know, but if you set a record high enough,
saves a lot of fish.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to fish for the 4-pound record now?
No one is.
Who's
done.
going to fish for the 6-pound record after Nat and Steve and Chad busted it up at 140?
Sure.
You know, but there are people saying one dead fish is too many for a record.
Give me a break. Because all these people that are dead bait fishing or live bait fishing at the bridges and letting these sharks eat them,
No, I totally.
that's way bigger problem than a couple of record fishermen.
yeah.
And that's all for Instagram and for getting the video of the bull shark eating the fish.
Well, I fish a lot in March because I have 10 days in March with Dustin. And if a bull shark's around, we break them off.
Sure. So on the world record topic, you're fishing with Mangum a little bit.
Yeah,
A little bit.
yeah.
Is there a record pursuit there?
I hope so.
Well, I think there's two in question. Most likely the 8-pound because that's only 127.5, I think.
Yeah, and
And
we're not chasing that.
And you have the 20-pound, which the 201 or the 202.
Right,
So which
and
one is it? Thane?
He's got big fish up there.
20.
20.
Yeah, no, we're not chasing the 8-pound record.
So you're fishing with him next week, or you have a bunch of 20-pound leaders tied?
I don't.
David does.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, I'd love to have the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, if you could catch a 220,
It's going to be there.
I know all of us in this room would do it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Or I know your dad would you? Oh, you tree hugger from Aspen.
No,
Give me a break.
Yeah, I think I would.
Heck yeah, you would, because
It'd
if
be the
you-
greatest
if
fish
you
of
caught
all
a
time.
220, how many people?
I don't think I would. I would for
There
sure.
aren't
But
many people who are going to chase you if you have a 220.
Exactly
I mean, I don't
right.
think there's many people that are going to fish 4-pound when we
No.
have a 119.
No.
And how many people are going to fish 6-pound when Nat and Steve and Chad have a 140?
140 something.
That's a giant fish.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear people say, "Oh, I got a 150 today." It's like, yeah, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
No way.
Well, record fishing is going to be over once that 8-pound gets up to
And it-
150 pounds.
and it should be.
Yeah, it should be.
And it should be.
And then it's over.
I just love the challenge.
Yeah.
It's something that's really hard to do. I mean, how many fish have I hooked on 4-pound test? A lot.
Are you better?
But if you love the challenge, why are you not pursuing records in other categories, other species?
I just
love the poon.
I love tarpon fishing. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't
Well,
want
you
to.
know what?
I don't
I-
want to catch a 10-pound box fish.
Yeah, it's like who cares? It's
Well, I
not-
was just speaking about like permit or
I'm not
other-
good enough to catch a permit. those things are too hard to catch, and that's the truth. I haven't figured that out. I can't do it.
But you did catch a big permit when you won the Gold Cup with Craig, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, that was a
Right?
cool.
We
That was
also-
a cool. We caught 2 big ones.
yeah.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
On a
It
tarpon
was
fly.
Crazy. Yeah. On Craig's fly.
Are you a better fisherman than you are a doctor?
I hope not. I hope not. Because fishing's not my profession.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I take doctoring a lot more seriously than fishing.
Right.
Not that I don't take fishing super seriously.
Are they equal, the seriousness and the level of perfection?
Maybe.
Because I would think that your desire to be a great fisherman has to match your desire to be a great doctor.
I hope so.
I mean, equal.
I don't want to take on anything and half-ass it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it's like, who's the guy on Parks and Recreation? I don't half-ass anything. I like to whole-ass everything. Who's the actor? Do you know, Nikki?
I don't watch Parks and Rec. I don't watch sitcoms, Thane.
My daughter watches it. And I'm a whole-ass guy. I'm not a half-ass guy.
What? How long do you want to chase these tournaments and the records, you think?
It's like I said. I told Dustin, I said, my desire is waning.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got second last year in the Gold Cup. Thanks to a phenomenal day. And that re-energizes you, no doubt. But it's just changed a little bit. Dave and Lewis have figured something out.
Mm-hmm. They won 3 in a row.
They're kicking our butt.
Mm-hmm.
And, 10 years ago, I would have said, screw those guys. I want to figure out how to beat them. And now I'm like, we're getting our butt kicked.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a mental hurdle, right?
But
you have to move from we're just getting our butt kicked to we got to figure out how to beat these guys.
Right.
So let me ask you this: going into this year's Gold Cup or the Golden Fly or Hawley, the tournaments, especially the Gold Cup, are you guys changing your tactics at all?
Yes.
Or you are?
We did.
You did last year, or you?
We did last year.
So this year you're sticking to what you did last year.
I'm not the guide. Don't guide your guide, bro. That's rule number 1.
No, I'm just I'm just interesting because here you have a team that's been dominating for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And you guys were such a force before that, right? Did you? And you kind of answered my question: is do you stick with the game plan, what you guys were doing previously, or you change it up? And you just said you changed it up. I find that interesting.
We changed it a little bit last year. Yeah. It's just funny. I mean, it changes constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started fishing with Craig in these tournaments, most of this stuff was won in the back. That's where the big fish were, and that's where they'd bite. And a lot of people won in the back. Like when Mahaffey won, set the Gold Cup tournament scoring record. That was all in the back, I think.
Bad weather too, I think.
Oh, he killed it though.
Mm-hmm. Every day it was a 130.
That was with Rick Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yep.
And I think it was all in the backcountry in the Everglades. And when I won with Craig, half of it was in the back. But when I won with Dustin, it was all on the ocean side, all in the front.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of changed a little bit.
You got it. Yeah. So now it's kind of moved back, but it's not quite what we used to do in the back.
It's a different back than what the old
Correct.
back was.
Yeah. I don't want to take
I get it.
I don't want to give anybody any intel.
I get that.
Because these guys have figured it out, but my hat's off to them for figuring it out.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, it was just like in 2010 when the wormfly started. That was magical.
Mm-hmm.
It was magic.
You guys set a record in the Hawley that will most likely never be broken. 27 fish in 5 days.
I hope not.
I mean,
I think that was the year I was fishing it.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
No.
Well, that was that was the previous record. Because I think you guys caught
I loved fishing with you guys. That was the Black Bucket Day.
Yeah, I know.
So I can call him Bucket.
You know what's crazy, though, is I didn't do anything special that day. They just bit.
Yeah.
I did nothing special that day.
Yeah.
They just bit. And that's the tricky part about tarpon fishing is Someday it's just your day.
Who had the idea first to get a 21-foot boat, 300 horsepower motor?
Who had the idea first? I have no idea, but I know we wanted one.
No, I'm talking about you or Dustin.
Oh, I was begging him to get a bigger boat. That little boat was killing me.
Your body.
The races,
running.
the races we had, mostly with Rand and Brian,
Right.
were hard on the body.
Tell me about that race. How fast were you going? What was happening with the boats? You
So-
tore a trim tab off one of the boats.
Oh, like every day in a row. Like 3 days in a row, we'd rip the trim tabs off because we're racing for a spot.
70 miles an hour?
No, we weren't that fast, but it was just rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dustin's on the thing, and he's riding it like a jockey, and I'm down in the cockpit bouncing around like a freaking ballyhoo. So the day I think it was 2017. It's the last time we won the Gold Cup. We were racing for a spot because the weather was atrocious. And we knew if we could get this spot, it was going to be worth it. So we raced Brian and Rand to the spot, and we're going through a stretch that it's like 4-footers.
Wow.
And we're racing in 4-footers from Channel 2 to Channel 5. You know the stretch. And I'm sitting in the cockpit, and I'm bouncing around down in there, and I'm just kind of holding on with one arm.
You're in the beanbag.
No.
gotta
That
stand
was
up.
before the beanbag.
Yeah.
I was just sitting in the cockpit holding on,
Nikki,
bouncing
that's
around.
like going down through a mogul field, 4-foot moguls at 60 miles an hour.
So we end up winning the race, and Brian ends up calling me, and he says, "My English good, but I can't beat your driver." He goes, "I'm done with that shit," because we're racing across there, and we're not just hitting the rev limiter. It's like going wah, 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 on the rev limiter. We don't just hit it once in a while. We're in the air.
And your props out of the water.
Oh, that's yeah.
The whole boat, yes.
And so when we finally get there, I'm like, oh, God, thank God we won. And we got the spot. And we
Just to get the spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And we catch a fish early on, then we catch another fish. And that was it. We caught 2 fish that morning and won the Gold Cup. But I was like reaching down. I'm like, something's sticking to my shorts. And my ass was bleeding from where I'd been bouncing around in the cockpit on that drive.
Talk about dedication.
I had like a big strawberry burn on my ass that was sticking to my shorts. And I go, Dustin, I don't
want to do that again.
It was worth it.
Was it?
No, then I got the beanbag, and it was much easier, but it was brutal. Running like that is brutal.
Mm-hmm. So it was your idea to get a bigger boat?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I never was afraid to go fast.
And now you see a lot of people in the field starting to get a bigger boat, bigger engine.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people bitched about it, but the truth is, we know where we want to go, and we just want to get there first.
And you're saving time.
Big time.
You get more fishing hours.
We could get in less than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
If you can save an hour a day of fishing, it's almost another day of fishing.
Well, the other guys that go all the way to the Lower Keys in the Gold Cup, they have to quit at 2:30.
Mm-hmm.
They can't catch a fish at 2:30. They might as well quit.
Because you can't get home by 5.
No, there's no chance. And if they hook one before the clock, they better catch it in 10 minutes.
So you can leave the Lower Keys at 3:30.
Lines out at 3.
4.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying, after
Well,
fishing, you can hang out for 30 minutes. I mean, what's the...
Yeah, I mean, if you hooked a fish at 2:59, 3 o'clock,
you can fight it.
Right.
And still
you
get
can
home.
fight it and catch it and probably still make it home.
Yeah.
And that's a long way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's brutal. I mean, Brian and Rand were going down there in a 70 horse.
Losing so much time.
So it was John O'Hearn. Nathaniel.
Exactly. And that's why Nat and John, or Nat, got the bigger boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I
it just makes sense.
It does, and if the fishing was better down there, a lot of other people would be doing it, but it is a big gamble. Mm-hmm. It's a massive gamble for the Gold Cup.
Yeah. Right.
Because a lot of times in June, they're just not down there. And it doesn't make sense for the Hawley either.
It just
because
opens
you
up
need flow.
Yeah, it just opens up options because you can go north and yeah.
I mean, the fact that you can pull a 21-foot boat with a 300-horse motor on it, well, some people can, but it's a big deal.
Can he pull that pretty well?
He pulled it every day in the Gold Cup last year.
That's
all we fished.
But here again, we go back to Dustin and his commitment to win. He's in the gym every morning at 4 a.m, lifting weights prior fishing, his day of fishing.
Outside of Rob and Brian, I don't know who could pull that boat. I don't. There probably are guys that could. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to, exclude anybody because people get sensitive. But, yeah, show me.
We're talking about something that a lot of people can't relate to, tournaments, But I think what we're talking about is the commitment and the level of intensity to win.
Right.
And I think that will everybody can relate to that. And we're talking about a fishing tournament.
Not everybody, though. That's what's crazy. I was talking to my wife, and at one point, I don't remember when it was, but she goes, "Is everything a competition?" And I go, "Yeah, it is. It sure is."
Right.
But I don't think everybody thinks that way.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
guys do.
Yeah.
And I obviously do. But, not everybody wants to stomp a mud hole in your ass to beat you every day.
Yeah.
You think you're wired that way from the beginning?
Yeah, and I don't begrudge anybody who beats me, but I wanted to compete against them as hard as I could. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's, I respect Dave and Lewis for kicking everybody's butt the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. They've won. Mm-hmm. They won.
But my question was, were you like that when you were 10 years old, 20 years old?
Probably not. I think that probably happened once I went to med school.
Well, what happened at med school that made you want to win?
Everybody was super competitive. I mean, I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. You had to be at the top of your class to do that. And you couldn't crap on everybody else because that would make you a dirtbag. But you had to beat them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I knew I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon, and you got to be at the tip top of your class to do that.
Why was it orthopedic surgery that you wanted to pursue?
I when I was in college, I met a plastic surgeon because I was bike racing at the time, and he was kind of into it. And I said, "That's pretty cool. This dude just gets to ride bikes and go skiing and go to all these cool places, and he's a plastic surgeon. It sounds pretty cool." So then I started really trying to pursue academics and went to med school, and orthopedic surgery was appealing to me because the sports background.
Yes, surrounded by athletes.
Then I pursued it.
Yeah.
But he was very instrumental in how I practiced medicine. He told me, he said, "You'll never get burnt out if you take a week off a month." And I'm close to that.
Close to burnout?
No,
taking a week off a month?
Close to taking a week off a month. No, I'm far from burnout. I'm building a surgery center, for God's sake. I'm 57 years old, and I should be thinking about retirement, and I'm building my own place to operate because I don't like the status quo. I don't like what private equity has done to medicine. I want to have my own place. I want to be able to say, we're not going to charge you $50,000 because that's ridiculous. We're going to charge you a fair price. Come to us, and we'll take care of you.
Wow, that's awesome.
I hope so. I mean, I don't want to sound like that guy that's just a bleeding heart, but medicine has become a business, and I don't like it. I want to take care of people.
Good for you.
You have to make an income to do that.
Right.
So I don't want to go too far on that side of the coin, but I don't want to screw people either. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, some guy who comes in has torn his ACL, and it's like, what do I do? And it's like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. We'll take care of you. You don't have to screw that guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's...
Are you...
but that has nothing to do with Millhouse podcast and fishing.
No, that's interesting.
No, but it is interesting because I know other doctors like Peter Millett too, who takes care of his buddies, and a lot of guys are cash only. They don't take insurance,
Right.
Medicare and stuff like that.
Right.
But do you take insurance, or are you cash only?
No, I take whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I take...
Because you have to if you want to take care of the people.
Yeah, I mean, probably the lowest payer is Medicaid. That's the kids that don't have the means to have insurance, and yeah, and I know Peter does that too. He'll do whatever it takes
to help them.
You just want to take care. I mean, if you went to medicine for the money, fuck off.
Yeah,
give me a break.
Yeah.
I want to make a good living, and I've been able to do all this crazy stuff like tarpon fishing because of that a lot of people can't. But at the same time, if somebody needs help, you need to take care of them.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Well, you're a good man, Thane. You've been a good friend for a long time, and it's been wonderful getting to know you way back in the day when I was still doing all this stuff, and to see your how you've progressed when all these tournaments and record fishing, and the stories be told. I mean, here you go. I mean, not many people that I know have got bigger stories than you in the world of fishing.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, and I have to ditto on that, but, you letting us stay at your house during the tournaments and some of the best times I've ever had with you and Rand, and I'll never forget it. So thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it.
You guys.
You get the greatest poon house in the world, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Thane.
you. Thank you. Thanks, man.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, so it's just alright. Well, so it's just that story. Well, so it's just alright.